Good evening from New York. I'm Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Journeys. It has been a long hiatus, actually, and I am eager to get back and to have these conversations with you. Uh, I've always believed that we are never more connected than when we share our stories. I'm always inviting people to come on and share their stories and tell us not only about their successes, but about their challenges and their falls and the fact that they got up. I have a very interesting gentleman here this evening as my guest, Vishnu Doerga. Over the last 13 years, Vishnu has helped over 100 businesses, or business owners rather, achieve their goals and take their business to the next level. In 2015, his clients have achieved double and triple digit growth in profitability, accomplished through improvements in sales, marketing, team training, systems development, and strategic planning. He helps business owners grow from an owner wears all hats approach to development of a results-driven and profitable team, allowing the business owner to focus on the areas that he or she enjoys. Vishnu is so confident in his ability to help eager business owners that he will only offer to coach a business if he can guarantee results. Let me just bring Vishnu on so we can just jump right into this conversation. The gentleman on the other end of the other side of the screen is Mr. Vishnu Doerga. Vishnu, good evening and welcome to CWS Journeys.
Hi, good evening, Selwyn. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, Vishnu. Vishnu, I want to jump right into it. Tell us 3 ways that people who are close to you describe you that you agree with.
Driven, result-oriented, and confident.
What is it you do exactly, Vishnu?
I solve problems. The simplest way to put it.
I like that. I like that. When I see you, when I think of you, business coach comes to mind. Am I accurate?
Yeah, I think I've been doing that unintentionally for a very long time, even since I was a student, and now being able to do it professionally, I think is a culmination of a lot of years of building expertise and adding experience. So I'm very happy with what I do.
When you said you've been doing this unintentionally for quite some time, when did you first realize that this is something you like to do?
When I was a very young child, I always realized that it was, going to school and doing what was necessary was always extremely easy. In the university, I can still remember my batchmates. I always liked to sit in front, pay attention so that I don't have to spend time studying. Mm-hmm. Most of the time doing my homework right in front of the class. And I can remember one particular class where the guys at the back didn't seem to be following, and they yelled out to the front, "Professor, did you get that?" And the professor at the board turned around and he asked, "I didn't get you. What did you say?" Or, "What did you say?" And the guy at the back said, No, not you, sir. Our professor. We're just checking to see if he got it." That always stuck with me, and I can remember telling, when I met my wife and I were talking about the future, I always told her, would have been really happy to study forever. And, with business coaching, it also allows me that, because the only way I can grow those around me is if I continue to add knowledge to myself as well. So, in a real sense, I am living living my goals, living my dreams.
Well, Vishnu, it's something I always wanted to ask you, because you're somebody that pushes education and the importance of knowledge. Actually, knowledge is one of the 11 reasons your white paper indicates that people should contact you, or people should solicit your services. But going back to education, there are some people who constantly seek education, and they, I call it always looking to find another tool, but then it becomes a crutch and an excuse to not go into action. But this is not the case with you. You go into action. Why is this? What makes you different?
My intent, and I do come from a business family. I think my family has been in business now for over 110 years. on the one side, a very strong business family, and on the other side, a very strong academic family. So having had exposure to both sides, it always really led to the willingness in me and the intent in me to find out how do we take these philosophies, how do we take these theories, and make them very practical, so that we don't see education as just something to look, read the books, get the grade, and then put it aside. But that we do see education as something that can quickly grow us if we know how we can utilize the lessons learned. And I think that's a big driver. I'm now doing the PhD in management, specializing in entrepreneurship. And a lot of people would have thought, a doctor in philosophy, it's all well and nice, but it's amazing by the amount of information that exists even at that level that the everyday business owner can utilize. And it feels like, putting together a puzzle. And I also loved doing puzzles when I was younger. So, finding those pieces that can really help portions and organizations move ahead, it's very fun.
Vishnu, one of the things about you is that you retired at 27. What were you doing that made you feel comfortable retiring at 27?
So what I've always noticed in life is that there were three kinds of people. You had the people who seemed to be working nonstop, working 16-hour days, and they were still never able to meet their goals. Mm-hmm. And I usually attributed it to the business or whatever they were busy doing couldn't raise the level of income that will allow them to pursue dreams. You have a dream if you can work 24 hours a day, but if you don't earn that 100,000, it still feels like frustration. And I saw so many people there. I saw a lot of other people who, by one situation or the other, found themselves in a place where they had a very good business model or a very good job that earned them so much more than they actually needed. And that can also start a whole other activity in their mind of, there's money to be made. Let me spend all my time, all my hours into making this money. And I've seen those situations even in my family. Because there are people who work really hard, don't get that fast forward, and you have people who don't have to do it, but because they have a good business model, they really are able to generate a lot of income. But both sides of this coin actually have a situation where a lot of frustration steps in. Either one, by not achieving what you want, or two, not having time to do anything else. Having a lot of money, having a lot of income, but no time to do anything else. And then on the rim of the coin, you do have the people who really have very early on decided, what do I need to earn to be able to really do the things I love to do? And when you actually sit down and you do that mathematics, you realize that it's not really that much. So if you actually are able to set up yourself, right, in a job or a business to a level where, especially in a business, you can generate the passive income that meets that figure, then it's time to walk away. Then it's time to really do what you want. And I found that so many people, when they really focus on the things they love doing and they want to do, earnings come like crazy. It's when you're on the hamster wheel that it feels like there's no end to it.
So how did that retirement then, at 27, help you today?
Well, I'm also an engineer, so I was able to build a distribution company that ran very efficiently. So as an engineer, that's the one thing that's hammered into your brain. How do you make things run as efficiently as possible? Mm-hmm. After being able to walk away, I spent a lot of time on the tennis courts, a lot of time in the gyms, and I then also started focusing on private sector development. I became the president of the Upper Quarantine Chamber at that time. And I noticed that in the organization, as with many organizations in Guyana, we could get so much better results if we just had the level of skills and competence that were required for those organizations. So we wrote a project. We were then funded by USAID to deliver the particular skills that would really help us run the organization much better. I participated in those courses as well, together with 24 other participants from the upper quarantine. And I noticed that the skills that were being added were so valuable, allowed us to really grow the organization, and then also for me to start growing many other organizations. And from then, I think the bug, I just caught the bug of education again, and I pursued the MBA. I came out as valedictorian there by a very large margin, just because I loved it. I was always sitting around in the class. On a Sunday, these were weekend classes. And I saw guys dressed up with a tie and almost fully dressed in a suit on a Sunday and looking very serious. And I thought, these guys must really be far ahead in the course. And I just enjoyed myself. I was just asking the lecturers and the facilitators, well, how do we use this? How do we do that? And we didn't know each other's grades until the end of the course, when the GPAs came out. And to see that margin, it was, just validating the fact that if you love what you do, the results will always follow.
Vishnu, you're a coach. So you have a class. Someone asks you, or a group of people asks you, how do you develop this love and this passion for what you do? You want to do this thing, and this is why I found a coach. I really want to do this thing, and I want to be successful. But love and passion are two very important attitudes or tenets. How do I develop that?
I've seen on the flip side, love and passion, you also have loss and suffering. I've seen that upfront and portional close by. I do come from a family of entrepreneurs, and the statistics, 80% do fail.
Yes.
I think in the family we have a slightly better success rate, but it still doesn't mean it's perfect. And I've seen up close and portional how devastating entrepreneurial loss can be, not just to the entrepreneur or the business portion, but to the family, to the kids, and the effects that could have, and the effects are far-reaching. And realizing that I had the skill and I was able to utilize it for myself, and then for my team, and then for my company, I always thought, and whenever I'm with my teams, especially my early on teams, and when they tell me that because of because of the leadership, because of the training that was transferred, their life has significantly improved, and they see a clearer vision, it does tell me that this is something that many more people and organizations need, because of the amount of losses and pain that can be avoided if you do things in a structured, progressive manner that actually gets you the results that you would like to have. And fortunately or unfortunately, it works so much better in Guyana because so many people are doing things their own way. And there's nothing wrong with doing it your own way if it is well researched, if you have tested it on a small scale, first of all, if you've ironed out the kinks. Absolutely nothing wrong with doing it your own way. But not doing it your own way with waking up in the morning and, I have a bright idea, let's go full scale. Mm-hmm. Doing things like that can result in you going bankrupt by the end of that same day. So I think...
why do entrepreneurs, why should any entrepreneur need a coach?
Because they think they're superheroes. And unlike real superheroes, and even with superheroes, Superman can only save one portion at a time. Imagine if you actually built a team, and I think that's where the Avengers may have come in. But there's a limit to what you can do. So unfortunately, entrepreneurs really do think they can do it all. And in the startup phase, they actually do have to do it all. Mm-hmm. But as soon as it becomes time to start scaling, and they don't really realize that they may be setting themselves up for failure because many entrepreneurs don't even cater a salary for themselves. So it's a situation where, yes, it looks like money is coming in and they keep reinvesting, but even on paper, So a lot of all my entrepreneurs, I tell them on paper, put down what you think your salary should be, because at that point in time, if you need to grow and you need to hire someone, nobody else is going to work for you for free. That's called slavery, I think, and really you're enslaving yourself. So that's the first step, and sometimes they grow so fast and it burns them out and they can't pay people, and then it's the end of the company.
I want to arc back a little bit to your early childhood, Vishnu. Give us a glimpse of Vishnu growing up at the ages of 9 and 15. What was that like?
Yeah, by 9, I was pretty much already independent. Parents separated very early on, so at that point, I grew up with my grandmothers, actually, on both sides. So I grew up with both of them, and the nice thing is that my grandmom on my mom's side is an award-winning educator. I've taken her to the US. She's traveled all around the world, and it's nice to see her students coming up to her in places all over the world, telling her that how she impacted their lives. So I think that's a huge inspiration to me. And then I grew up with my grandmom on my dad's side, and she really was the backbone of the business that they had. And I can remember both my grandparents were alive at that point in time, sitting with me every afternoon, and I would ask them all kind of questions. And I think that's a big thing that I see lost in Guyana, where we sometimes discard our seniors, where these are the persons who have decades of distilled wisdom sitting there to be dispensed, but nobody asks them. People are much busier planning their weekends, letting the wisdom that resides in their own house. So I always see it like a blessing in disguise, being able to have grown up with both of my grandmothers. One of them is still with me. I make every effort to go and get some more knowledge. It seems like an unlimited well of knowledge. That would have been around 9. I think by 15, I was already on my own. I started UG, I think just around 15, living in Georgetown on my own and really doing what's necessary. And those I refer to as the bread days. So it could have been bread for breakfast, bread for lunch, bread for dinner. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. Did really good at my
Vishnu,
and I still have my friends from back then. Unfortunately, 90% of them have migrated. We still keep in contact, and just very few are still in Guyana.
If you were to eavesdrop your grandparents and your mom, because I get the sense that the matriarchs of the family have really impacted your life a lot. You spoke about your grandmother on your mom's side, and then your grandmother on your father's side, who was the backbone of the business, and then your mom, of course. If you were to eavesdrop these 3 powerful women, influential women in your life, telling a stranger about you, Vishnu, let's start with mom first. And then we'll go to grandmom on your father's side. What do you think they would say, each of them?
Well, my mom, what I can remember when I was very small, and kids, everybody wants to grow up and be something. And, I always told my mom, I want to grow up, I want to be the president. And for her, it wasn't even as if she flinched, and she said, exactly, that's what you're going to do, and that's why you need to do your homework. So I think that's still, her just believing in it as if there was nothing wrong. She could have told me, pick fireman, pick doctor or something. For her, it wasn't. When I told her that, she was in doubt. She said, exactly, good, this is what we need to do. And I think she was probably coaching me there as well. For my grandmom's side and on my dad's side, I think what she really instilled in me was responsibility. I am the oldest grandchild. Oldest male grandchild on my dad's side. So with her, very traditional, as the oldest male grandchild, you need to make sure that you take responsibility of everyone who comes after you, and you need to educate them. And then I think she would be happy with the responsibility. And then on my On my mom's side, yeah, I think she's probably the proudest of all. She keeps referring to me as yeah, I think the pride that just comes out of her. Sometimes I tell her, make sure the rest of the cousins, give it to them. I have enough, don't worry with me. But I'm really happy that I can make her proud.
Vishnu, you're married, you have children, daughters are...
Yeah, it's just one daughter, but it does feel like daughters at times.
Right, okay. So here again, you are still surrounded by women. Mm-hmm. When you are being father and husband, how much of what you learn from, again, these three amazing women in your lives, you reflect upon and say, wow, I'm so glad I had these experiences with grandmom and my mom?
I don't think I do the best job at it. I think my grandmoms would have pushed me to be so independent, so self-sufficient. And I think I expect that in everyone I meet. So it's sometimes a real balancing act between pushing and caring, and caring. One day you might have to talk to them yourself. So I think I do my best. I do my best. My daughter, I'm extremely proud of with what she's doing academically and the human being she's becoming. I think, she will do great things, and coincidentally, she has the same vision for herself as I had for myself when I was a child.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm there to support. And again,
is that to become president one day?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Do you think Guyana is ready for a female president, Vishnu? And would you support one if she represents your values and principles?
She's also very result-oriented, and I think that's what we need. I think that's what we need. I'm not much of a talker. You're probably I don't know, you've done something to make me talk for an hour, but I'm more of let's get this thing done.
Oh, we are having a conversation, man, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You talk about the balancing act, and your grandparents would have pushed you to be more self-sufficient, and you as a father and a husband have to strike that balance. But I believe that kind of an attitude sort of helps you in what you do as a coach.
I think I have Google Calendar to thank. I make sure, and it's something I teach everyone I meet as well. You have to put the big rocks on your calendar first. The things that are very important to you. So even simple things as picking up my daughter from school, it's on my calendar. I do my best to make sure that gets done. All my other activities, and then you can always look at your calendar and decide what comes off of it. Things that are not important shouldn't be on your calendar because time is limited. Life is very, very short. I think that's probably one of the things that drives me. There's so much to be done and so little time.
I feel the same way about myself. Tell us a little bit about Action Coach specifically.
Well, I think I was just starting my MBA. I came into contact with the company. It's a franchise started in Australia, in 6+ countries, headquartered in the US. And I came across their material because we were planning to move from Riverton to Georgetown. My wife had then taken over the company. Everything was running fine, but now she needed to walk away from the business as well. So with the MBA material, I was already starting to systemize, but when I came across Action Coach, I think they immediately identified me as an ideal candidate. And I was able to start utilizing their material in that business. We were able to successfully walk away. I did know that, starting it up in Barbies might not have been the right market. The majority of the persons who can really make best use of what I do as a coach are located in and around Georgetown. We hope in the future to spread back to Barbies and all the far-reaching areas, although we actually have people who drive down at night from Warby's, from Linden, and then they drive back after classes, which might end, 9, 10 o'clock, which is a really, I admire their commitment, but they're also the ones that grow the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was able to acquire the franchise formally in 2014. The master licensee is from Curacao, and was originally from Suriname as well. So we had that connection, and it made it easy for me to get access to the system much earlier and understand it and start utilizing it for myself. And then we launched actually last year in May, because there's a lot of training to be done. It was over a year worth of training to get certified and to get licensed, because the method in which I usually solve problems is very high-paced. But as a coach, you must also be able to work at any pace. And then people can be more meticulous and slower paced, and I should be able to adjust to that. And a lot of training focused on me being able to deal with any personality type and get them the results they're looking for.
Have you ever had a business or a client that you really really hesitated to take?
Yeah, a few of them have been on the fence. It's very easy to know who's gonna be a winner, and it's very easy to know who really should be getting a job. And what I always do, and it's part of our system as well, that I always sit with them for 1 hour complimentary. So you come in, you book a 1 hour, and because it's important for me to have a very high success rate.
Mm-hmm. Why is that?
Because every hour I spend with someone who's not committed to their own growth means that I block someone who may be committed to their growth from that hour. So I don't want to waste my time, and it would be a waste of my time to sit with someone who's not serious about getting to their own goals. And there's simple things that I can ask, if you are serious about your growth, send me an email with this piece of information by this time. Little test,
Mm-hmm.
You're not my client as yet. But if you can't do that for yourself, for me to do something to help you, you already fired yourself, basically.
Man, I need to sit with you for an hour or so. I know your time is very, very expensive and all that, Vishnu, but because I find I do that with my show. If someone can't take the time to answer a certain question by a certain time, I move on to the next guest. I don't waste my time. But Vishnu,
there are some people who get on that boundary, and if I notice that it's not working out, I have to take the responsibility because I made them the offer. And what I would usually do is, ask them to take a break, or if I by then have already figured out what really the issue is, I, ask them to focus on that before we continue with the growth. So yeah, I do make mistakes as well, but it is up to me to take responsibility of having made a mistake and then take corrective action.
Mm-hmm.
There are too many people who, because they made a mistake and the ego and the pride takes over, they live with those mistakes for the rest of their lives.
If after being in business for several years, Vishnu, what would you say you've learned about yourself over the past, let's say, 5 years? What have you learned about yourself as a businessman?
I learned that I can't settle for average. I thought, maybe it was a phase, but I can't settle for average. I can't stand people who lie through their teeth.
Mm-hmm.
I know in the past, when I wasn't in a position of, a leadership position, I sometimes had to sit in the audience and hear people lie through their teeth. Now that I am in a leadership position, I do believe in leading by example. And I know the structure and strategy as well of leadership. I teach it. So I always give people an opportunity, and it's up to them to waste the opportunity to demonstrate that they're worthwhile partners. I have realized about myself that I can't stand persons who are insincere in what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And I have realized that I am very driven, and I experimented maybe 2 years ago about reducing my level of drive, and I realized very quickly that I can't live with it. And I think people need me to be this driven as well, because you have some very talented people. Everybody is talented, and sometimes they not just need someone to push them, push them off the edge. And with them having enough confidence that I'll be there to help them if necessary, but 9 out of 10 times when they're pushed off the edge, into the deep, they start swimming. So I think that's my role. There are not many people who do this, who are willing to take the responsibility to push people into the deep end. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I bring to the table.
What was a defining moment, or describe a defining moment for you in your business coaching path?
Every defining moments.
Let me tweak that question, Vishnu.
Yeah.
It's unfair. Let me tweak that question. Describe for me, or for us rather, a particular client that really made you feel that you're doing the right thing. Really made you feel some real sense of satisfaction. Without giving us names, but a particular situation.
I think this happens with all clients at the 2-month mark. And I've already educated them to a significant point. And what happens a lot of the time is that self-doubt sometimes holds them back. Mm-hmm. When they're now pushed to actually do what is necessary, and they see what the change it can make in their company, how it changes their team, how much more time they get for themselves, how much more they earn, because they actually realize that they're not just selling education, they're not just selling furniture, they're not just selling distribution, but how much more they do for their clients, and they're able to make their clients appreciate them. And when they come back with the stories and with the evidence of how much it's improved, I sometimes think, if I was just sitting down running my own business or just not doing anything, I couldn't have been able to be a part of this success. And I think that delights me every single time, because indirectly, we're touching so many people's lives. And I'm so happy for this particular model, because this allows me to not just impact 10, 100 people's lives, but thousands of people's lives. Mm-hmm. And that is very delightful, especially when it gets on a large scale. That's amazing.
I want to take a quick break in a moment, Vishnu, but I got to ask you this question. You spoke about your wife wanting some freedom from that business. And you spoke about you retiring at 27. And of course, I guess I gather that gave you some amount of freedom. Yeah. Is there a connection between what you do, your work as a business coach, and freedom? If there is such a connection, how would you describe it?
I think there is. I set my own time, so I don't work on Mondays and Fridays. Tuesday to Thursday, I think I'm booked for maybe 3 hours per day, 3 to 4 hours per day. Mm-hmm. And it is somewhat flexible. I usually like to keep a very tight schedule, but with my clients, and especially with the private sector, I can shift it a little bit. And working so few hours does actually give me quite a lot of freedom. So yeah, coaching equals freedom. Yeah, that's now that you talk about it.
Let's take a break.
Yeah.